They say grief reshapes you. What they don't tell you is that it can also turn you into someone dangerous. My name is Emily Harper, and 4 years ago, I buried my husband, Nathan, after a reckless driver stole him from me on a rainy Thursday morning. He was 35. We'd been married for 7 years, together for 9, and I thought I understood what forever meant. I was wrong about a lot back then. The Nathan Carter Foundation has awarded scholarships to 53 young women this year alone, I said into my phone, pacing my office in downtown Seattle. The journalist on the other end was writing a feel-good piece about local charities. These are brilliant minds who might never have had the chance to study engineering, tech, or medicine without this support. My assistant, Lily, poked her head through the door, her usually cheerful face shadowed with worry. "Your mom called. She says it's urgent." My stomach twisted. My mother, Eleanor, only used urgent when she wanted something extravagant or when someone had crossed the family. With our annual gala a week away, I suspected it was both. "I'll call you back," I told the journalist, hanging up. What did she say exactly? "Family emergency. Your dad wants to see you right away." Lily's voice dipped, almost hesitant, like she was holding something back. I grabbed my bag and keys. The drive to my parents' estate in Bellevue usually took 25 minutes, but I made it in 18. Their sprawling mansion was as pristine as ever. Manicured lawns, ostentatious wealth, and a chill that seeped into your bones. My younger sister Claire's car was parked in the driveway. Her presence meant this wasn't about the foundation. This was family business, which was always worse. I found them in my father's study, the same room where he'd held court during my childhood, where he'd once declared Nathan wasn't worthy of our family, and where he'd later insisted I leverage Nathan's death for social clout. Claire sat in a cushioned chair by the window, her tailored jacket creased, her dark hair pulled into a messy bun. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Emily, my mother, Eleanor, stood with the polished grace of a woman who'd spent decades curating her image. "Thank you for coming so quickly." "What's wrong?" I glanced between my parents and Claire. "Is someone hurt?" "Sit down, darling," my father Thomas said, without looking up from the documents scattered across his oak desk. At 62, he still dominated any room. But today, something felt off, edgy, almost frantic. "I'll stand, thanks. What's this about?" Claire met my eyes, tears brimming. "Emily, I'm so sorry. I never meant for it to get this bad." "For what to get this bad?" My father cleared his throat. "Claire has gotten herself into a financial mess. She owes some unsavory people a significant sum." "How much?" I asked, dreading the answer. $400,000. The number landed like a punch. I stared at my sister. $400,000, Claire. "How?" "It started small," she said, words tumbling out. "Just card games with friends. Then the casino. Then online betting. I thought I could win it back, but you couldn't." I turned to my parents. "And you want me to fix this?" "We want you to do your duty as her sister," my mother said, her tone sharp with judgment. "Family comes first, Emily. Always." "My duty?" I laughed, but it was hollow. "My duty is to the 53 women who are going to change the world because of Nathan's foundation. My duty is to honor my husband's memory, not to clean up Claire's gambling debts." "The foundation has more than enough money," my father said coolly. "Enough to help Claire and keep your little project running. That money isn't mine to give. It belongs to the women we're helping." It belongs to this family, my mother snapped. That foundation exists because of Carter money. Don't you dare forget that. A cold weight settled in my chest. What's that supposed to mean? My father finally looked up, his eyes like steel. It means your charity has served its purpose. The words hit like a physical blow. I glanced at Claire, who was sobbing now, then at my parents, their faces calculating as if my fate was already sealed. "You're serious," I whispered. "You want me to dismantle Nathan's legacy to pay for her gambling debts." "We want you to save your sister," my mother said, "before these people decide to collect in other ways." I stepped back toward the door, my pulse racing. "I need to think about this." "There's nothing to think about," my father said. "The gala is next week. You'll announce your decision then. And if I refuse?" He smiled, and it was the iciest thing I'd ever seen. "Then we'll make the decision for you." I didn't sleep that night. By morning, I'd half convinced myself I'd misheard, that my parents couldn't possibly be threatening to destroy everything Nathan and I had built. I was wrong about that, too. "You look awful," Lily said when I walked into the foundation office at 6:30 a.m., 2 hours earlier than usual. "Thanks, Lily. That's exactly what every woman wants to hear." "I'm serious, Emily. What happened yesterday?" Before I could respond, my phone vibrated with a text from my mother. "Family meeting, 10 a.m. Don't be late." "I have to go back," I told Lily. "Can you handle the morning calls?" "Of course. But you'll fill me in later, right?" "Maybe." The second family meeting was worse than the first. They'd come prepared. "We've spoken to the board," my father Thomas announced as I stepped into his study. "Margaret agrees you've been under immense strain since Nathan's death." "Margaret?" I echoed. Margaret was a key board member, someone I'd trusted as an ally. "She's concerned about your judgment," my mother, Eleanor, added. "We all are." Claire looked up from the same chair she'd sat in yesterday. "Emily, please. These people aren't messing around. They've shown up at my place twice." "What people, exactly?" "Does it matter?" my father snapped. "Your sister's in danger, and you're fussing over details." "I'm fussing over the law, Dad. The foundation has legal obligations. I can't just write a $400,000 check because Claire made terrible choices." "Terrible choices." My mother's voice sharpened. "She's your sister." "And Nathan was my husband. The foundation is his legacy, not the family's personal ATM." "Nathan's gone," my father said, his tone like ice. "Claire's alive and needs our help." His words stung like a slap. "How dare you?" "How dare I what?" "Speak the truth. You've been living in a dream, Emily, playing philanthropist with money that isn't yours." "That money was donated by people who believe in our mission. That money came from this family's investments, from my business success, from the Carter name and reputation." Something in his voice made me pause. What business success? My mother shot my father a sharp look, but he pressed on. "Don't be naive, Emily. Every dollar in that foundation traces back to Carter Ventures, to my deals and partnerships over the years." "What partnerships?" "The kind that built this family's wealth," he said, ignoring my mother's glare. "The kind that let you play charity director instead of getting a real job." "A real job? I run a nonprofit that's transformed dozens of lives." "You run a side project," he cut in, "and side projects end when family needs come first." Claire spoke up, her voice small. "Maybe there's another way. Maybe I could get a loan." "From who?" my mother demanded. "Your credit's shot. No bank will touch you." What about rehab? I suggested. What about addressing the gambling addiction instead of throwing money at it? No time for that, my father said. These people want their money now. Then maybe Claire should have thought about that before. Before what? Claire stood, her face red. Before I got sick? Before I developed an addiction? You think I wanted this? I think you've never faced real consequences for anything in your life. Enough, my mother snapped. Both of you. No, it's not enough. I faced all three of them. You want me to steal from a charity. You want me to betray every donor who trusted us. You want me to erase Nathan's memory so Claire can keep gambling. We want you to save your sister's life, my father said. By destroying mine. Your life? He laughed. Emily, you don't have a life. You have a monument to a dead man, and a charity that makes you feel important. That's not living. Tears pricked my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Get out of my way. Where are you going? My mother called. Home, away from here, away from all of you. The gala's in 6 days, she said. You'll announce your decision then, or we'll announce it for you. I paused at the door. What's that supposed to mean? It means, my father said, if you won't step down willingly, we'll call for a vote of no confidence. Margaret's already agreed to second the motion. You can't do that. We're board members, Emily, he said. We absolutely can. I drove to Lily's apartment, my hands trembling on the wheel. She took one look at me and poured 2 glasses of wine. They want to dismantle the foundation, I said, spilling everything. Claire's debts, the threats, the board's betrayal. They can't just remove you, can they? Lily asked. If they have enough votes, they can, and they seem sure they do. Lily was quiet for a moment. Emily, can I ask something? Go ahead. Where did your family's money really come from? Your dad's always been vague about his business. I stared at her. Why do you ask? Because in 4 years of working at the foundation, I've never traced the original seed funding to any clear Carter business. It just appeared. A chill settled in my stomach. What are you saying? I'm saying maybe it's time we figure out exactly where our money came from before we decide if it's worth fighting for. I set down my glass. You think there's something off with the foundation's funding? I think, Lily said carefully, your parents are awfully confident they can take it away from you, and I'm wondering why. That night, I lay awake, thinking about Nathan, the foundation, and the strange edge in my father's voice when he mentioned his partnerships. I had to uncover the truth, even if it unraveled everything. Daniel, I need you to pull every financial record we have on the foundation's original funding, I told our lawyer the next morning, ambushing him in his office. Daniel looked up from his coffee, startled. Emily, it's 7:30 a.m. What's going on? I explained everything. Claire's debts, my parents' ultimatum, the threatened board vote. Daniel's face darkened with each detail. They can't just vote you out without cause, he said. They think they can, and they're acting like they own the foundation's assets. Legally, they don't. The foundation's a separate entity. Daniel, I leaned forward, where did the original $2.5 million come from? The seed money that started everything. He frowned. From your father's business investments, per the paperwork. Why? What business investments exactly? I'd need to check the files, but I believe it was from the sale of his stake in some consulting firm. Daniel, something's not right. My dad's been vague about his business for years. And now he's talking like the foundation's money is his personal property. He paused. You want me to dig deeper? I want you to find everything, every transaction, every source, every detail about where that money came from. That could take days. We have 5 days until the gala. Get started. While Daniel worked, I drove to my parents' Bellevue estate, not to see them, but to talk to Claire alone. I found her in the backyard, vaping with shaky hands. Since when do you vape? I asked. She jumped, dropping the device. Emily, I didn't hear you. Mom and Dad aren't here. Some charity brunch at the country club. She laughed, bitter. Ironic, huh? Claire, I need you to tell me exactly who you owe money to. Why does it matter? Because I'm trying to figure out how we got here. $400,000 doesn't happen overnight. She sank onto a patio chair, looking smaller than I'd seen her since we were kids. It started 2 years ago. Just card games with some people I met at a casino. What people? Wealthy people, bored people, the kind who bet more in one night than most earn in a year. And you kept playing because I was winning at first. A lot. Enough to clear my debts, buy that SUV, feel like I was finally good at something. But then I started losing. Not all at once. It was slow. A bad night here, a worse one there. I kept thinking I could win it back. That's how it works, Claire. That's how they hook you. Who's they? She looked away. The people who run the games. They're not exactly legit. You're talking about criminals. I'm talking about people who don't take "I'll pay later" for an answer. My phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. Found something. Come back now. I have to go, I told Claire. But we're not done. Emily, wait. She grabbed my arm. I know you're furious with me. But there's something else. Something I haven't told Mom and Dad. What? The people I owe money to. They know about the foundation. They know about you. Ice shot through me. What do you mean they know about me? They've been asking questions. About Nathan. About the foundation's assets. About whether you'd help family. You told them about Nathan? I didn't tell them anything, but they already knew everything. I stared at her. Claire, who are these people? I don't know their real names, but... Emily, I think they planned this. I think they targeted me because of you. I was back in Daniel's office in 25 minutes, my mind spinning. What did you find? He spread documents across his desk. The original $2.5 million came from the dissolution of Carter and Hayes Consulting in 1997, your father's partnership with someone named Victor. My blood froze. Victor who? Victor Hayes. No relation to your family, despite the name. I felt the room tilt. Daniel. Victor Hayes was Nathan's father. Victor Hayes, I repeated, my voice hollow. Nathan's father? Victor had died 6 years ago, just before Nathan and I got married. Daniel stared at me. Your father was in business with your husband's father. Nathan never mentioned any partnership. He said his father died penniless. No inheritance, no family money. According to these records, Daniel said, pointing to the papers, the partnership was dissolved after allegations of financial misconduct. Victor filed a complaint, claiming your father embezzled funds. What happened to the complaint? It was dropped. Victor died shortly after filing it. I sank into the chair. Daniel, are you saying the Nathan Carter Foundation was built with money stolen from Nathan's father? I'm saying that's what it looks like. But Emily, there's more. More? The timing of everything. Your father's sudden wealth, Victor's death, even your meeting Nathan. It all happened in a tight window. What are you suggesting? Daniel hesitated. I'm suggesting your marriage might not have been as random as you thought. And maybe your family's current desperation isn't just about Claire's gambling debts. My phone rang. My mother's name flashed on the screen. Don't answer, Daniel said, but I was already picking up. Emily, darling, we need to talk, Eleanor said. There's been a development with Claire's situation. What kind of development? The kind that means we're out of time. The gala's in 4 days, and decisions need to be made tonight. I'm not ready to make any decisions. Then, we'll make them for you. Family meeting at 8 p.m. Don't be late. She hung up before I could reply. Daniel watched me. What are you going to do? I'm going to uncover the truth. All of it. I glanced at the papers on his desk. Evidence of lies, theft, and betrayal spanning decades. And then, I'm going to burn it all down. The emergency board meeting was called for 6 p.m., 2 hours before my parents' family meeting. I walked into the Nathan Carter Foundation's conference room in downtown Seattle to find 5 of our 7 board members seated around the sleek glass table. My parents sat at the far end, exuding authority. Margaret avoided my gaze. Thank you all for coming on short notice, my father, Thomas, began, as if he were running the meeting instead of me. Actually, Thomas, I called this meeting, I said, taking my seat at the head of the table as the Foundation's director. Emily, my mother said, her voice smooth but sharp, we're all worried about you. The stress of running the Foundation, the Gala, your sister's situation. Let's cut to it, Mom. You want to vote me out so you can raid the Foundation's accounts. Gasps echoed around the table. Margaret finally met my eyes. Her face flushed. That's not what this is about, she said softly. Emily, you've been erratic lately, missing meetings, making decisions without board approval. What meetings have I missed? The budget review last month, Margaret said. I was in the ER with food poisoning. I sent Lily with my notes. The donor dinner, my mother added. That was Nathan's death anniversary. I told everyone weeks in advance. Board member Robert cleared his throat. Emily, maybe we should discuss this privately. No, my father's voice cut through. This needs to be settled now, before the gala. Emily, you're not well. Everyone can see it. I'm not well? I laughed. Or I'm not obedient. You're obsessed with Nathan's memory to an unhealthy degree, my mother said. The Foundation's become a shrine, not a functioning charity. We've awarded 53 scholarships this year alone. How is that not functioning? Because you refuse to see the bigger picture, my father said. This family has needs. This family has wants. There's a difference. Margaret spoke up. Emily, if you'd consider a temporary leave of absence, so you can loot the accounts while I'm gone. So you can get the help you need, my mother finished. I scanned the table. How many of you have they bought? Silence. Robert wouldn't meet my eyes. Margaret. Robert? Emily, maybe some time away would be good, Robert said quietly. Patricia, our newest board member, shifted uncomfortably. The Foundation's reputation matters. If there are questions about leadership stability... There are no questions about leadership stability, I said. There are questions about whether my parents can steal charity money to pay Claire's gambling debts. That's enough, my father snapped. I move for a vote of no confidence in Emily's leadership. I second, Margaret whispered. All in favor? 4 hands rose. Mine and Lily's stayed down. Board member Sarah was absent. Motion carries, my father announced. Emily, you're hereby suspended as director, pending a full review. You can't do this. We just did, my mother said, smiling faintly. Margaret will serve as interim director. I stood slowly. Margaret, do you know where the foundation's original funding came from? She frowned. From your father's business investments. From money he embezzled from his business partner, Nathan's father. The room went silent. That's a serious accusation, Robert said. It's a documented fact. Daniel has the records. You're lying, my father said, but his voice wavered. Am I? Then you won't mind an independent audit of the foundation's finances. There's no need for an audit, my mother said quickly. There's every need, especially if you're planning major financial decisions as interim leadership. I walked to the door, then turned back. The gala's in 4 days. By then, everyone will know the truth about this family and this foundation. Emily, wait, Margaret called, but I was already gone. I found Claire waiting in my car in the parking lot. How did you... I've been calling you for an hour, she said. Lily told me where you were. She looked awful, pale, trembling, dark circles under her eyes. Claire, we need to talk. I'm done talking. I'm done with all of you. Those people I owe money to, they're not just criminals. They're tied to Dad's old business. I froze, hand on the ignition. What? I did some digging after we talked. The card games, the people running them, they're connected to Victor's old company, the one Dad supposedly bought out. That's impossible. Victor died 6 years ago. But his associates didn't. Emily, I think this was planned. My gambling, the debts, the pressure on you. I think they've been setting this up for years. Why would they do that? Because Dad didn't just embezzle from Victor. He ruined him. Victor lost everything. His business, his reputation, his health. He died broke and disgraced. Nathan never told me any of this. Maybe Nathan didn't know. Or maybe he was protecting you. I stared at her. Claire, are you saying these people deliberately got you addicted to gambling? I'm saying they made it very easy for me to lose huge amounts of money very fast. And now they want it back. From the foundation built with their stolen money. This is insane. Is it? Think about it, Emily. Dad steals from Victor. Victor dies. Suddenly, you're married to Victor's son, running a foundation funded by the stolen money. That's a lot of coincidences. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Your sister's right. Time to pay what's owed. See you at the gala. I showed Claire the message. Her face paled. They're going to be at the gala. Looks like it. Emily, what are we going to do? I started the car. We're going to end this. All of it. How? By telling the truth at the gala, in front of everyone. That'll destroy the family. The family destroyed itself years ago. I'm just going to make it public. And the foundation. I thought of Nathan, the 53 women whose lives we'd changed, the tainted money that made it possible. The foundation will survive. It has to. What about me? What about the people I owe? They'll kill me, Emily. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you gambled away $400,000. She started crying. I can't fix this alone. You're not alone. But I'm not sacrificing Nathan's legacy to save you from your mistakes. So what happens now? I pulled out of the parking lot, my mind racing. Now we find out exactly how deep this goes, and then we burn it all down. The Cascade Ballroom at the Fairmont Hotel glowed under crystal chandeliers. 300 guests in tuxedos and evening gowns mingled with champagne flutes, oblivious to the storm about to break. I stood in the restroom, staring at my reflection. The black dress Nathan bought me for our last anniversary, the sapphire necklace that had been his grandmother's. I looked like I was dressed for a funeral. Maybe I was. Emily, Lily pushed through the door. It's time. Your parents are about to start. Are you ready? She patted the sealed envelope in her bag. Everything's here. Financial records, legal documents, the timeline Daniel put together. If I don't use it, you will. I touched the matching envelope in my clutch. Where's Claire? Haven't seen her, but there are some guys here who don't fit in. They're watching the exits. Victor's people, probably. Emily, are you sure about this? Once you do this, there's no going back. There's already no going back. We walked into the ballroom together. The crowd was a who's who of Seattle. Politicians, tech moguls, foundation donors, and scholarship recipients. My parents stood near the stage, charming major donors. Thomas looked impeccable in his tuxedo, every bit the successful entrepreneur. Eleanor radiated poise in deep emerald silk. They looked like the perfect charitable power couple. They looked like frauds. Emily, Margaret approached, her smile nervous. You look stunning. I'm glad you came. Wouldn't miss it. About the board meeting, don't worry, Margaret. Everything will work out exactly as it should. She frowned at my tone, but was pulled away by another donor. I scanned the room and spotted them. 3 men in tailored suits who didn't belong. They weren't mingling, weren't drinking, weren't pretending to care about scholarships. They were watching me. Ladies and gentlemen, the event coordinator's voice boomed. Please take your seats. We're ready to begin. I found my assigned table near the front. Lily sat beside me, Daniel on my other side. My parents were at the head table on the stage, with Margaret and the other board members. Welcome to the 4th annual Nathan Carter Foundation Gala. My father's voice rang out. I'm Thomas Carter, and with my wife Eleanor, I'm honored to serve on the foundation's board. Polite applause. I noticed the 3 men had positioned themselves near different exits. Tonight, we celebrate the remarkable young women who've received scholarships this year, my father continued, but we also celebrate renewal and positive change. Here we go, Daniel whispered. As many of you know, my daughter Emily founded this foundation after the tragic loss of her husband, Nathan. Her dedication has been inspiring. More applause. Several people at my table smiled at me. I smiled back, my hands steady on my napkin. However, the board has made difficult decisions about the foundation's future leadership. We believe that for the foundation to keep growing and serving our community, we need fresh perspective and renewed energy. The applause faltered. People sensed something was off. Therefore, effective immediately, Emily will be stepping back from her role as director to focus on her personal healing and recovery. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Confusion spread across faces. Whispered conversations buzzed across the Cascade Ballroom. Margaret Evans, one of our most dedicated board members, will serve as interim director while we search for permanent leadership, my father announced. Margaret stood, offering an awkward wave to polite but uncertain applause. We're also thrilled to share new initiatives to expand the foundation's impact beyond scholarships, Thomas continued. We'll explore partnerships with established businesses and investment opportunities to significantly grow our endowment. Translation: "They're going to drain the accounts," Daniel whispered. My father smiled broadly. "Now, I'd like to invite Emily to the stage to say a few words about this exciting transition." The spotlight hit my table. 300 faces turned toward me. The 3 men by the exits stiffened. I stood slowly, my pulse pounding. This was it. The moment that would either shatter everything or set it free. "Actually, Dad, I have more than a few words to say." I walked toward the stage, my heels clicking on the polished hardwood. The crowd fell silent, sensing the tension. My father's smile wavered as I climbed the steps. "Emily, perhaps we should keep this brief," he said. "No, I don't think we should." I took the microphone from his hand. "In fact, it's time everyone knew the whole truth about the Nathan Carter Foundation." My mother half rose from her chair. "Emily, what are you doing?" "I'm doing what Nathan would have wanted." I faced the crowd. The scholarship recipients in the front rows. The donors who'd trusted us. "I'm telling the truth." "Emily, please," Margaret started. "The truth about where our funding really came from. The truth about this family. The truth about why my husband's father died, broke and disgraced." My father lunged for the microphone, but I stepped back. Security moved toward the stage, but Daniel was already standing. "The truth about how the Carter family fortune was built on theft, lies, and the ruin of innocent people." The ballroom erupted, voices rising, chairs scraping, cameras flashing. The 3 men by the exits pushed through the crowd. My mother's face drained of color. "You don't know what you're doing," she hissed. "I know exactly what I'm doing." I pulled the envelope from my clutch and held it up. "I'm exposing 30 years of fraud, embezzlement, and cover-ups, starting with the money you stole from Victor Hayes, my husband's father." The crowd surged, some heading for the exits, others pressing closer to the stage. Reporters shouted questions. The scholarship recipients looked stunned and scared. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said, my voice cutting through the chaos, "let me tell you a story about karma, justice, and what happens when you build your empire on someone else's ruin." My father made another grab for the microphone. "Security! Get her off the stage." But it was too late. The truth was out, and there was no containing it. "Security! Stand down!" Daniel's voice boomed as he flashed his credentials. "This is a legal matter now." The security guards hesitated, glancing between Daniel and my father. The crowd pressed closer, phones recording everything. "Emily, get down from there," my mother snapped, her composure cracking. She looked terrified. "No, Mom, I'm just getting started." I turned to the microphone. 30 years ago, my father, Thomas Carter, entered a business partnership with a man named Victor Hayes. Over 2 years, my father systematically embezzled funds from their joint accounts. "This is slander," my father shouted, but his voice trembled. When Victor discovered the theft, he filed a complaint with the authorities. But before the investigation could proceed, Victor died of a heart attack, brought on by the stress of losing everything he'd built. A reporter in the front row scribbled furiously, "Ms. Harper, do you have proof of these allegations?" I held up the envelope. Financial records spanning 30 years, bank transfers, forged documents, falsified partnership agreements. All of it. "Those are private family documents." My mother stood, her poise shattered. "You have no right." "I have every right. This foundation was built with stolen money. Every scholarship we've awarded, every life we've changed. It all started with money taken from a man who died believing he'd failed his family." The 3 men from the exits were closer now, pushing toward the stage. One caught my eye and nodded grimly. But here's what makes this story truly remarkable, I continued, my voice steady. Victor Hayes wasn't just my father's business partner. He was my husband's father. Gasps rippled through the ballroom. The scholarship recipients in the front row looked shell-shocked. That's right. The Nathan Carter Foundation, named for my beloved husband, was funded by money stolen from Nathan's own father, a man who died broke and heartbroken, never knowing his son would marry the daughter of the man who destroyed him. Emily, stop this. Margaret was on her feet. You're destroying everything we've built. Everything we built was a lie, I shot back. Every dollar in our accounts traces back to that original theft. We're not philanthropists. We're money launderers. One of the men reached the stage. An older man, maybe 65, with gray hair and piercing eyes. Ms. Harper, we need to talk. And you are? Someone who worked with Victor Hayes. Someone who's been waiting 30 years for this conversation. My father's face went ashen. Elliot, what are you doing here? Collecting a debt, Thomas. A very old debt. The crowd was in chaos. Some fleeing, others recording, reporters shouting. Ladies and gentlemen, I said into the microphone, meet Elliot Kane, one of Victor's former associates, the man who's been orchestrating my sister's gambling debts. Elliot smiled coldly. Your sister made her own choices, Miss Harper. We just ensured she had plenty of opportunities to make bad ones. You targeted her because of me. We targeted her because justice delayed is not justice denied. Your father stole $2.5 million from Victor Hayes. With interest, that debt is now worth far more. How much more? Daniel called from the crowd. $4 million. Exactly the amount in the foundation's accounts. The pieces fell into place. You've been planning this for years. We've been waiting for the right moment, when your sister's debts hit critical mass, when your family was desperate enough to raid the foundation, when the stolen money could finally be reclaimed. The rightful owners are dead, my mother said, her voice desperate. Victor had other children, Elliot replied, children who grew up in poverty because their father lost everything to your husband's greed. I looked at the crowd. The scholarship recipients learning their futures were built on stolen money. The donors who'd trusted us. So what happens now? I asked Elliot. Now you have a choice. Transfer the foundation's assets to us as restitution for the original theft. Or we take your sister as collateral until the debt is paid. You can't be serious. $400,000 in gambling debts was just the start, Ms. Harper. Your sister owes us far more now. How much more? $3.6 million. Funny how numbers work out. The crowd was silent, hanging on every word of this impossible exchange. And if I refuse? Elliot's smile was glacial. Then your sister disappears, and we take the foundation's assets anyway. Through legal channels. We have documentation of the original theft, proof of the money trail, and testimony from living witnesses. You're talking about extortion. I'm talking about justice. Your father destroyed Victor Hayes and his family. Now it's time to pay. I looked at my parents, pale and trembling, at Margaret, staring with horror and dawning realization, at the scholarship recipients, grappling with the truth. There's a third option, I said, which is... I pulled out my phone and held it up. I call the FBI and tell them everything about the original theft, your extortion scheme, all of it. Elliot laughed. And destroy the foundation? Ruin the lives of these young women who rely on scholarships? I don't think you have it in you. You don't know me very well. I know you've spent 4 years building something good out of something rotten. Are you really willing to tear it down for principle? I looked at the crowd, the faces of those who'd trusted me, who'd believed in our mission. Yes, I said, I am. I dialed 911 on stage, holding the phone to the microphone so everyone could hear. 911, what's your emergency? This is Emily Harper at the Fairmont Hotel in Seattle. I need to report extortion, fraud, and threats of kidnapping in progress. Elliot stepped back, his confidence faltering. You're making a mistake. The mistake was made 30 years ago. I'm just cleaning it up. Ma'am, are you in immediate danger? The dispatcher asked. Yes. There are men here threatening to kidnap my sister if I don't transfer $4 million to them. The ballroom exploded again. People streaming toward the exits. Reporters' cameras rolling. Emily, hang up, my father pleaded. We can work this out privately. Privately? Like you worked it out with Victor? Like you've been dealing with these criminals for months? Units are en route, the dispatcher said. Stay on the line. Elliot signaled his associates, who moved toward the stage exits. But Daniel was already there with hotel security. Nobody leaves, Daniel announced. This is now a crime scene. You have no authority, one of Elliot's men said. Actually, I do. Daniel held up his phone. I've been recording this entire conversation. Extortion, conspiracy, admission of orchestrating gambling addiction. It's all here. Where's Claire? I realized my sister was missing. Elliot smiled thinly. Safe. For now. What does that mean? It means you have about 10 minutes before my associates get impatient. Sirens wailed outside the hotel. The crowd was thinning, but scholarship recipients, major donors, and reporters remained. Emily. Margaret approached the stage, her face pale. I need to tell you something. What? I've been investigating the Foundation's finances. Margaret hesitated, clutching a folder. I started investigating independently after your father approached me about the no-confidence vote. Something felt off. What did you find? I asked. The same things you did, but more. She opened her folder. Your father didn't just steal from Victor Hayes once. He's been skimming from the Foundation for 4 years. Small amounts, about $60,000 annually, funneled to offshore accounts. What? My mother's voice was a whisper. It's impossible, my father said, but his tone lacked conviction. The transfers are here, Thomas, Margaret said. Your signature, your authorization codes. Police officers and FBI agents in suits flooded the Cascade Ballroom. The lead agent approached the stage. I'm Agent Martinez. We got a call about extortion and kidnapping threats. That was me. I handed him my phone, still connected to 911. These men are making the threats. Elliot Kane raised his hand slowly. This is a misunderstanding, Agent Martinez. We're just trying to recover stolen property. By threatening to kidnap someone? I countered. We never threatened, Elliot said. I have it recorded, Daniel interrupted, holding up his phone. Explicit threats against Claire Harper if the Foundation's assets aren't transferred. Where is Claire Harper now? Agent Martinez asked. We don't know, I said. These men claim to have her. Elliot's associate whispered to him. Elliot nodded. She's safe. She's at a private facility getting help for her gambling addiction. What facility? Agent Martinez pressed. One that specializes in people who owe significant debts to the wrong people. You mean a prison? Martinez said flatly. I mean a place where she can't make things worse while we negotiate a payment plan. Agent Martinez, I said, I want to make a full confession. Everyone turned to me. Emily, don't, my mother pleaded. The Nathan Carter Foundation was built with money stolen from Victor Hayes 30 years ago. My father embezzled $2.5 million from their business partnership. When Victor tried to report it, he died of a heart attack from the stress. Emily, stop, Daniel warned. No, this ends now. I faced Martinez. I want immunity in exchange for full cooperation in prosecuting everyone involved. My father for the original theft, these men for extortion and kidnapping, and anyone else in this conspiracy. You can't be serious, my father said. I'm dead serious. The foundation will be dissolved. The assets will be returned to Victor's surviving family. The scholarship recipients will be protected through a new, clean organization. What about us? My mother asked, tears streaming down her face. What about you? You've lived off stolen money for 30 years. You tried to force me to steal more to cover Claire's debts. You voted me out of my own foundation to loot it. You're criminals, and I'm done protecting you. Agent Martinez scribbled notes. Ms. Harper, this is a serious decision. Once you make this statement officially, I understand. I want to do what's right. Elliot stepped forward. Agent Martinez, we're willing to cooperate fully in exchange for the return of the stolen funds, an assurance that Claire Harper gets proper treatment for her addiction. Where is she? Martinez demanded. Elliot nodded to his associate, who made a call. After a brief exchange, he hung up. She's being released. She'll be here within the hour. This is insane, my father said. Emily, you're destroying everything we've built. Everything we built was a lie, Dad. Every dollar, every success, every moment of pride. It was all based on money stolen from a man who died broken and betrayed. The scholarship recipients in the front row were crying. These young women who'd counted on our support, who'd seen their futures in our mission. What happens to them? I asked Martinez, gesturing to them. That's not my area, he said. I faced the recipients, their faces hopeful, scared, confused. I promise you, I said into the microphone, every one of you will get the support you were promised. From a clean foundation with clean money, built on truth instead of lies. How? One called out. Because I'll spend the rest of my life making this right. Martinez closed his notebook. Ms. Harper, we need to continue this at the federal building. I'm ready. As they led me toward the exit, I glanced at my parents. Thomas looked like he'd aged a decade in minutes. Eleanor sobbed into her hands. For the first time in 4 years, I felt free. The federal courthouse in Seattle buzzed with reporters when I walked out after giving my testimony. Daniel waited by his car, looking drained but relieved. How do you feel? He asked as we drove away. Like I can breathe for the first time in years. My phone had been ringing nonstop. Reporters, donors, board members, friends. I turned it off. Where to? Daniel asked. The cemetery. I need to talk to Nathan. The evening sun cast long shadows across the headstones at Lakeview Cemetery. I knelt beside Nathan's grave, brushing leaves from the granite. I'm sorry, I whispered. I'm sorry it took me so long to uncover the truth. I'm sorry your father died thinking he was a failure. I'm sorry our foundation was built on his pain. The wind stirred the cedar trees. For a moment, I could almost hear Nathan's voice, telling me I'd done the right thing. My phone buzzed. A text from Lily. Turn on Channel 5 News now. I walked back to Daniel's car, and asked him to turn on the radio. Federal agents arrested Thomas Carter this afternoon on charges of embezzlement, fraud, and conspiracy. His wife, Eleanor, was also taken into custody as an accessory. Their daughter, Emily Harper, cooperated fully with authorities in exchange for immunity. Daniel switched it off. "You sure you're ready for this?" "I'm sure." We drove to the foundation office in downtown Seattle. The building looked unchanged, but everything felt different. Lily was waiting in the lobby with a stack of papers. "The FBI released the accounts," she said. "All $4 million is in escrow, pending the court's decision on restitution." "Good. What about the scholarship recipients?" "That's the interesting part. After the news broke, we got calls from 14 major donors offering to fund a new foundation. Clean money. No strings attached. 14. Including people you've never met. Your speech at the Gala went viral. People are calling it the most honest thing they've heard from a nonprofit leader." Daniel handed me his phone. The video had over 3 million views. Comments were harsh on my parents, but supportive of me. "There's more," Lily continued. 3 of Victor's surviving children reached out. They want to meet you." "They do?" "They never knew what happened to their father. They thought he'd failed in business and died in shame. Learning the truth gave them closure." A knock on the office door interrupted us. A young woman in her 20s stood outside, holding a bouquet of lilies. "Ms. Harper, I'm Kayla. I received a scholarship from the foundation last year." I opened the door. "Kayla, I'm so sorry about everything. I know this must be confusing. Actually, I wanted to thank you for telling the truth, for risking everything to do what's right. My scholarship is helping me through engineering school. Knowing it came from someone willing to sacrifice everything for honesty means more than you know." She handed me the flowers. "These are from all 53 scholarship recipients. We took up a collection for the new foundation. Not much, just $4,000, but it's clean money. Our money." I started crying. "You don't understand. The foundation might not survive this scandal." "It'll survive because you made sure it would," Kayla said. "You chose truth over family, justice over comfort. That's the kind of leader we want." More people gathered outside. Donors, volunteers, community members. Some held signs. "Truth matters," and "justice for Victor." "There's something else," Daniel said quietly. "Elliot and his associates were arrested, but they're cooperating. Turns out, they weren't just criminals. They were Victor's former employees, trying to clear his name for decades." "What about Claire?" "She's in a real treatment facility now, court-ordered. She left you a message." He handed me a handwritten note. "Emily, I'm sorry for everything. You saved my life by not enabling me. I hope someday I can be as brave as you. Love, Claire." Lily opened the office door. "Emily, reporters are here. They want to know about the new foundation." I looked at the crowd outside, the flowers from the scholarship recipients, Claire's note, Daniel and Lily who'd stood by me. "Tell them the truth," I said. "Tell them we're starting over. Clean slate, clean money, clean conscience. What about your parents? They made their choices. Now they face the consequences. And you, what do you get to live with?" I thought of Nathan, the 53rd women whose futures were secure, Victor's children finally knowing their father hadn't failed. I get to live with the truth. Finally. The reporters set up cameras outside. In a few minutes, I'd face them. explain how a foundation built on stolen money could become something honest and good. But first, I had one call to make. Hello. Is this Victor's daughter, Laura? This is Emily Harper. I think it's time we talked. As I dialed, something shifted. The weight I'd carried for 4 years, grief, guilt, the sense that something was wrong, was gone. I wasn't just Nathan's widow, the daughter of criminals, or the sister of an addict. I was someone who'd chosen truth over comfort, justice over family loyalty, the future over the past. For the first time since Nathan died, that felt like enough. The phone rang, and Laura answered. Hello? Hi, Laura. I have some things to tell you about your father, and some things to make right. Outside, the cameras rolled. The story was just beginning, but this time, it would be the whole truth.